Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Couple of Nukes. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Whiskey. And for those of you not watching on YouTube, just listening, I am at an outdoor obstacle course to remind you that physical fitness comes in many forms. I recently filmed an episode from inside a gym, quote, it's a green screen. But I want to remind everyone that if you're not feeling a gym, there are tons of ways you can do fitness. And what we have today is a guest talking about how we, in our busy lives, can still make time for the gym and physical fitness. And one of the things we're going to talk about is almost a bit controversial nowadays, and I'm sure my guest would agree with movements that, fat is beautiful, with mukbang videos, with unhealthy eating habits trending, with the consumerism and vending machines pushing more and more unhealthy food onto our children. It's becoming more normalized and acceptable. But we have a guest today who has seen lives be taken and lost because of unhealthy eating and a lack of fitness. So we're going to talk about the reality of what society is doing nowadays and what we can do about it. I have a high performance coach for y'all. His name is Roman Fischer. And Mr. Fischer, would you please introduce yourself for us?
Yes. So yeah, I'm Roman Fischer. I'm an actor, model, and high performance coach. I help people just transform their overall minds and bodies and really become healthier and happier versions of themselves.
Awesome. Yeah. And do you have any comments on what I said in introduction there? I mean, do you agree with that, disagree, or what do you think about it?
Yeah, 100% agree, that the fat, the culture surrounding, people that are overweight,
Right.
unhealthy, however you want to classify it, it's really been, normalized. It's been normalized. And honestly, it's not the best thing. It's not the best thing. Not to say that you should shun people of any weight. I mean, obviously, there's different backgrounds of each person. Everyone has a different story, a different reason
For
why they're
sure.
at where they're at. But even with that being said, and even with that being the case, it's still important to know that health is important for everyone. And that no matter where you're at with your physical health and your lifestyle at the moment, you got to make sure to prioritize your health because your health is the most important thing you'll ever have. And your body is literally, however you want to feel about it, your body is a temple and you live with your body every single day. So you got
Yeah.
to take care of it. You live with your body and you live with yourself every day. So you got to take care of that. And someone quoted that actually. I kind of paraphrased a bit there, but someone did have a quote relative to that, that you do live with yourself every day. You live in your
Oh
body.
yeah.
You have to take care of it.
Yeah, and your body like is going to be with you every day, but people will invest all their time in temporary, fleeting things that are not going to affect your overall health, that aren't going to be there for you in the end. And like you said, I think the kind of distortion is not that fat isn't beautiful, but it's become that fat is beautiful, therefore it's healthy. And that's not true. You can be an overweight person and have confidence and feel beautiful. I'm all for that. But that doesn't mean you're healthy, right? Unfortunately, there's a difference there. And I think it's important to have that distinction, to know about health. And I kind of hinted earlier at your personal experience with that. Can you tell us about those people you lost in your life and how that inspired you to do what you do today?
Yeah, most definitely, man. So yeah, I had some experiences to say the least. I definitely had some experiences back in the day in my life where I had people I knew, I had people I trusted, I had people I loved that were close to me. And honestly, some of them were family. Some of them were family members of mine. And so one of which being honestly my grandpa. So one of the guys that I would spend a lot of time with, one of the people in my family, in my life, I would spend so much time with growing up as a kid. And literally every chance we got, usually around the holidays, but honestly, any chance we could, but it usually did fall around the holidays. We would always get together. We would
Right.
either we would either go to Wisconsin, my family and I, and we would go to his house, usually spend time at his place, watch a lot of TV, just do a lot of different things together. And I would honestly admire his what he had in his basement. He was a huge car guy and
Oh,
he was
awesome.
heavy into, yeah, he was heavy into trains too, very big on
Heck
trains
yeah.
and the overall, the stuff surrounding trains and cars and automobiles. But basically just seeing all that as a kid, that I always thought that was pretty neat because as a kid, I was fascinated with trains. I would actually grow up as a really young kid on Thomas the Tank Engine. So seeing that and then seeing all the stuff that he had on display with cars
Yeah.
and trains and his toy trains and all that really spoke to me. But sharing that connection with him and then also just having that good energy around him. Every time I was around him, he was always a welcoming, soul. He was a really nice guy growing up with. But, throughout all that and having those great moments, those great memories with him, just growing up, and then tragically and honestly, sadly, seeing him not take the best care of himself and being a heavy sugar addict, which I also shared that same exact, situation with him. I shared that same trait. I was a heavy sugar addict. But seeing him have that and honestly, that being one of the main reasons and one of the main causes on his eventual, you know, cancer, honestly. And so what happened was my mom actually got news. She got the terrible news from her brother, one of her brothers that actually called her from Wisconsin. And she just found that out very sudden, like it usually is for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then she found the news out. I eventually then found out through her after she found out from her brother. And man, that that stuff, to say the least, that stuff hit me emotionally. It hit me very hard. Literally, it was something that I was not prepared for. I was not expecting one bit. And that put me in a really heavy, deep depression. And it made it
Yeah.
hard to honestly, even for me, want to take care at that moment of myself, of my health, and focus on anything I had to do because I couldn't. I was
Yeah.
emotionally drained and emotionally wrecked by that. And then from there, it just really put me in that heavy, depression, that dark place. After that, we did eventually go to Wisconsin and visited there, went to the funeral where I was not, I could not keep myself together emotionally, definitely broke down and mourned the loss of him. But while it did put me in that deep, depression for that time, for that period of, several months even, that eventually I will admit, and not everyone's like this, sadly, but it did give me that fire. It gave me that encouragement, that inspiration to want to keep going then and actually take care of myself because I saw what happened to him. I realized for what it was very sad. It was not something that I welcomed or wanted in my life, of course, to happen. Of course, it happens to at some point everyone somehow,
Yeah.
some way, but still, it's just not something that you ever think about happening at the same time. But though it did, it also inspired me and lit that fire inside of me at the same time. And I used that pain for fuel, that pain for fuel, that pain for fire to want to take better care of myself, take better care of my health with what I was eating, with what I was drinking. I started to then really analyze and look at what's all in our foods. What is all in our drinks? Like, what are we actually consuming on a day to day, daily
Yeah.
basis? What are we even putting in our bodies? And so why are we doing that? So I really dug in deep and then I really investigated and researched what they are putting in. And that honestly just raised a heavy red flag over me. I'm like, man, if they're putting all this in our foods, if they're putting all this in our drinks, and I can't even pronounce half of it, if not even
Yeah.
most of
Yeah. That's for
it.
sure.
And then there's so many of these ingredients I can't pronounce. It's probably not something I even want to put in my body to begin with. And because of that, I started to not only take note of that, but then I started to make a change. It was a gradual change, I'll admit, but over time that did, push me and encourage me to do that through not just from the loss of that with my grandpa, not just the loss of my grandpa and everything that's in her foods, that not only, made it hard mentally at first and really put me in that dark place, but it actually then encouraged me later to use that to my advantage, to not go down that same path he did and do a total 180 on my life, and then make him proud. Just thinking about, where he's at now, just keep him proud, make him proud of what I can do differently and what I can do better for my health to live that person that I should be and that he could have been, but that he can see in me now and make him proud. And of course, make myself and everyone else around me proud. So that way I can live just a more balanced, healthy, life to actually thrive and not just survive and help other people then do the exact same thing for themselves in the process. And then from there, that also encouraged me to keep going with my workouts, to stay fit, to stay healthy, to stay active, not let things derail me. Yes, things happen in life, but all those things that happened to me made it where I didn't let these things prevent me from eating healthy anymore. I stopped my, sugar intake. Yes, that was a hard process, let me tell
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah.
over time, I did cut that stuff out. And the pain that I had, and it sucks to sometimes have to, have these painful experiences be that, drive, that encouragement to want to keep going and to actually get yourself out of these bad habits. But using those, negative experiences did push me into finally wanting to drift away from all those unhealthy eating habits, unhealthy routines. And then from there, I just honestly was a better, healthier person for it. And I've never looked back since. But using that pain for fuel has been honestly monumental.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people like yourself and others who go through some kind of fitness or health journey to share it. Like we look at David Goggins, for example. I know not everyone has a great opinion of him because of his, just the way he motivates, because of what he did, not necessarily being the healthiest thing. Like we said before in the show, you shouldn't piss blood and break apart everything, right? There is a balance to be had. But the reality of it is he has inspired so many people. And, he's just one example of people who have gone on fitness journeys, whether it's weight loss or weight gain. One of my previous episodes, me and the guest TN were talking about people who are very skinny, have a super fast metabolism and get bullied for that. The opposite journey. There are people on both sides of the spectrum, and a lot of us, especially when it comes to our physical health, needs inspiration or a mentor or a personal trainer or someone to help inspire us. So I appreciate what you're doing. And I know in your bio said you've helped over 50 people already. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now as a high performance coach, who can benefit from it and what you're doing in that program?
Yeah, for sure, man. So I'm honestly just helping people, like you mentioned, just from different spectrums and different sides of their fitness, goals and
Yeah.
journey. So whether they're trying to, burn fat, lose that weight that's just super stubborn, super hard to get off,
Yeah,
or maybe they're just trying to put on that hard-earned muscle that they're difficult, finding very difficult to put on for
for
themselves
sure.
to gain that muscle, to gain that strength and ultimately out of that to even gain that confidence, that self-confidence, that inner self-confidence. So I help them do that. I also help people, gain flexibility, increase their overall mindset, elevate their mindset in the process. So it's not just getting fit, it's not just losing
Right.
weight, burning fat, feeling good and gaining muscle. It's also feeling good in here. So that way you can better feel good on the physical and other aspects of your life, even beyond fitness as well. So that's mainly what I've been doing, but just helping one body at a time just achieve their overall big goals, but breaking them down to smaller goals and making those small changes, those small adjustments when needed. And I found it's amazing, and they found it too. But achieving small goals are just the best thing to do because when you do that, you're achieving one thing at a time. You're still making progress, you're still making headway, but you're doing it gradually where those add
Yeah.
up over time to monumental, huge changes and transformations too. And so just seeing that extra energy with these clients that I've had and still have, and some of the new clients I've been getting, just seeing the transformations, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, with their energy levels shifting, not downward, not staying stagnant, but rather shifting upward
Yeah.
and just seeing even on their face like their glowing energy from their face, the positivity from where they were more weighed down, depressed, down, negative to more positive, upbeat, honestly having a more limitless mindset, not so much a limited fixed mindset too. So all that in combination with their physical health being transformed has been monumental. It's been amazing. And seeing it from different people from different states to you has
Right.
even been that much more inspiring to you.
Yeah, and what you talk about is so true. The translation over to their social life, their work life, more energy, more better health, better performance at work, and it's all just a momentum and a cycle of just better feelings.
Oh yeah.
So it does translate over a lot. And that old saying, the less you do, the less you want to do. It's really true. But once you get there and the initial process of going to the gym or starting physical fitness, especially when you never have before, it can be a very sharp incline to get over initially. But from there, like you said, I think it's important you mentioned a lot of small goals because in my last episode where we talked about fitness, we talked about how a lot of people want instant results. People aren't patient with the gym. A lot of people, like we said, come January, well, a huge spike in gym memberships, and then people fade out, and a lot of that is because we're not seeing the results. We talked about people tracking their weight every single day,
Oh yeah.
looking for weight loss every single day instead of once a week or once every 2 weeks. I think setting those small goals and accomplishing more is great because you're getting that feeling of accomplishment on pretty much on the same level as if you waited months for something. I think it's even better to have those accomplishment because people rather just, all right, I'm 130 pounds and I'll feel accomplished once I'm 150 or 160, and that's going to take a while. But if you say, all right, next 5 pounds, one day at a time, 1 pound at a time, even that's so much more amazing. And that accomplishment, that feeling of accomplishment is gonna, get you to the gym more motivated because you're gonna say, hey, I'm seeing results. And too many people don't see the results because they're fixed on the wrong perspective. And so yeah, that's amazing. And so with
100%.
someone, yeah. And actually, I'm curious, what does your relationship with physical fitness look like right now? Like, what kind of is your routine?
Yeah, for sure, man. I love the question. So I usually have been working out 4 days a week, just going to the gym 4 days a week, but now I'm going just 5 days a week. And so what I usually do, I
Awesome.
do when I go to the gym, I do upper body Monday, Tuesday is the lower body. Today or Wednesday is just a rest day. So just a recovery, light active maybe, maybe a quick walk outside, but pretty much a light recovery day. And then Thursday, that is push, Friday's pull, and then Saturday's leg day. And so for all you guys that don't know what push or pull is,
That was my next
push day,
question.
yeah, push day is essentially just chest, shoulder, and tricep. So basically utilizing using your push muscles,
Mm.
and then pull day is using your pull muscles, so back and biceps, essentially.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. So pull day would be like, do you do rowing or kind of the lateral pulls and stuff like that? And then other days you do like dips, bench press, stuff like that.
Definitely, definitely. And even throwing in some isolations at the end of my workouts. That way I'm able to isolate each and every, part of my muscle that I wasn't really working as heavily maybe earlier in my workout.
Right.
Really just giving that focus, that attention to those muscles in that area.
Okay. And what about cardio? Do you go running at all or biking or swimming?
Yeah, so cardio, I don't do a lot of cardio. I will say I get just maybe a little bit of cardio in as far as doing some circuits every once in a while. I'll do some
Okay.
circuits, or I might do a superset, which isn't too cardio based, but the circuits I do definitely are more. And then when I'm not doing circuits, I at least do a light walk after my workout, maybe outside. But right now I'm focusing more on weights, but I'm
Mm.
going to start introducing cardio within the next week a bit more because I'm planning to compete either this fall or by next summer for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned, so I run about 6 to 8 miles every 2 days and then I lift
Nice.
weights throughout. What I don't do often is circuits, just because usually if I do that, it's with a class. And I know last Thanksgiving, or 2 Thanksgivings ago, they had a turkey burner workout for everyone to come. It was supposed to be equivalent to burning this many calories, which was the equivalent of what people on average consume at Thanksgiving. So the idea was, all right, everyone, we're gonna make it like Thanksgiving didn't happen beforehand, so you can pig out. And I remember doing that. And even though I run and do a lot of cardio lift, it was just killer, going
Yeah.
one workout. It was like, you do each workout for a minute straight at full capacity, 30-second minute rest, go to the next thing. And they were like full body dynamic workouts. So whether it was 8 counts or burpees, lightweight workouts. And I'll tell you, that was so much more exhausting than running 8 miles. I was like, just the pace of it. So definitely encourage everyone to check that out every now and then, or make your own little routine at home. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you could look up online. Nowadays, there's so many things. And one thing I caution is, in our last video too, we discussed how there's also a lot of gym misinformation online. So be careful when you're researching certain exercises. I've seen a lot of influencers online say, do this to get instant this or that. Uh, be safe, be cautious, be in the know. And Roman, what I want to ask you is, I know we talked a bit about motivation and discipline and accomplishments, but what are some of the biggest challenges beside that you've seen with your clients? Some of the common, obstacles, whether it's before they start or during the process or afterward?
Yeah, for sure. Something I've seen a lot from some clients, at least, is when they're not seeing results within the first 1 to 2 weeks, it's easy for them to just get off track or at least get a little unmotivated and
Yeah,
drop their overall consistency, to be honest with you. So when they start a program, especially for fat loss, weight loss, I've noticed that's when it's the most prevalent. When it's muscle growth, not as much, but when it's trying to lose that weight, burn that fat from their bodies, it's easy for them to get discouraged, to
right.
honestly get off track as a result. And so keeping them motivated, keeping them grounded, keeping them consistent, that's key, of course. But usually it's them weighing themselves. They're not seeing the scale drop right away. But I do remind them that yes, the scale matters to an extent, but it's not the end all be all. It's
Yeah.
also how you feel. It's how you're feeling too. It's how you're seeing yourself in the mirror. What changes are you seeing? Also, are you measuring yourself? Are your clothes fitting differently? Because I've had it where some clients, and this happens to a lot of people in their fitness journey too, but note, anyone that's listening and watching right now, that just because the scale isn't moving doesn't mean you're not losing and burning fat. You could be. It's just that muscle weighs more than fat,
Yeah.
and you could be gaining muscle. So that's why the scale's not exactly moving. But as long as your measurements are going down in those areas you want them to, as long as your clothes are fitting differently and fitting better, that's how you know you're actually losing and burning fat, even if the scale's not always moving. So that's a great way to keep my clients motivated, to keep them consistent with it, and also know that even if they're not always burning fat right away too, and the skill's not doing much, reminding them that you just started. Also, it's progress over perfection. So this journey is not going to be perfect, but you're going to make progress. It just takes time. But we also don't want to lose too much weight too quickly. So that's another thing that I give them for advice, just for, you know, priming their mind and having their mind be in the right, place. So that way they don't fall off and they don't get too discouraged.
Yeah, I think that's really important and something we've kind of touched on before in other shows, which is tracking with context. We've talked about it in a lot of things, with social media, with sleeping, but also with fitness. Tracking, I like your idea of the measurements rather than the weight, because like you said, as you gain muscle, which you're gonna gain some form of muscle when you start working out, especially if you've never done it before. And so that fluctuation or lack thereof can be discouraging. So a reminder to everyone that what you track has a context to it. So that's great. And then Roman, what do you do about accountability? And I'm gonna state that with the precursor that for anyone who works with anyone in fitness, whether it's a personal trainer, a high performance coach, they can hold you accountable to a degree, but ultimately, the biggest advocate for your own health is yourself. The only person who can really make you go to the gym and actually work out is yourself, right? I mean, Roman could go with you to the gym, he could hold your hand, but how you maintain the quality of the reps, how much effort you put in is solely up to you. And so, Roman, how does it work if someone is working with you? Is it daily phone calls? Is it weekly? Is it as needed? How does that process kind of look for us?
Yeah, for sure. So usually I do weekly Zoom meetings. So kind of like what we're doing right now on Zoom, I just do a Zoom meeting once a week at least sometimes twice a week if need be, if the client really needs that extra
Yeah.
focus, attention, accountability, essentially. So always once a week, an hour long each for as long as they really need, but typically it goes from 30 minutes to an hour. And we really just dive in deep on how the workouts are going, how the meals are going, how their consistency, how their discipline's going, and just really any tips and tricks they might need with their workouts, how their form is, and really how they're feeling and what they might need for that extra push, that extra bit of motivation, inspiration to keep transforming and honestly keep going on this journey. And really, I always love to, in these accountability and coaching calls and sessions, to go over how to stay consistent sometimes. So, whether that's remembering why you started this journey, what got you into this journey of trying to get fit to begin with, and then really going over at the end of each coaching call, just summing up and tallying up all their wins for the week, whether it's fitness related, maybe it's not, maybe it's career, maybe it's personal, relationship, business related. So, whatever it might be, just really going and diving into those wins and having them write those down, even. So, anytime they are feeling unmotivated, discouraged, they can literally just look back at their notes and their wins that they wrote. So that keeps them just motivated and it keeps them consistent, no doubt.
Yeah, and you touched upon eating and diet a little bit there. Are you qualified dietitian? Is that something you work with us on, or how does that part of the process work for us?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm not certified or a dietitian by any standards, but I do have extensive knowledge and experience from a lot of research and just a lot of trial and error that I've found that doesn't always, work in certain cases for certain people, but overall,
Yeah.
just getting that knowledge, that trial and error, and that extensive research that I've had with nutrition and what works usually and what doesn't for most people. And so throughout that, and then all the past client, results and
Yeah.
testimonials and transformations, I found to be the best to just give people fully customized nutrition surrounding whatever goal that they have at that moment.
Awesome. Yeah. So proven methods. And again, ladies and gentlemen, he can give you all the knowledge on what to eat, how to eat, but it's up to you to follow through on that. And so, Roman, I know you also have a YouTube with a lot of fitness advice and other content. Who should check that out, and what can we really benefit from that?
Yeah, definitely. Anybody that's looking to get fit, even just 1% better every day with your mindset, but also with your physical body, whether it's gaining muscle, losing weight, burning fat, increasing your flexibility, or honestly, your overall motivation and encouragement to just become better, to be healthier, and really be that healthier, better version of yourself that you've always wanted and always deserved.
Awesome. And where do you see the future of all this going with your coaching and all the people you're helping? I know we've said already changed over 50 lives, and we know there's no goal number because the goal is as many people as we can. So,
Yeah.
what is the future looking like?
Yeah, really just helping people continuing the path that I've been on, honestly. Just continuing to help people out, transform their minds, their bodies, how they feel, and just to perform better than they were yesterday. And honestly, having them not compare themselves to other people, but rather their past yesterday self and just their overall past self and continuing to help more people out. My goal for the rest of this year and for the rest of the future is honestly to help hundreds and hundreds more and thousands more people to transform just their life, their minds, their bodies, so they can be the healthiest person that they've always wanted to be and not fall back into their old habits and to keep, evolving with their health, with their mindset, and just with their overall life and be that person they've always wanted to be.
Awesome. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the description below, in addition to the YouTube channel, you'll find Mr. Fisher's other links. And before we sign off here, Mr. Fisher, what's the main message you want to leave everyone with? Wherever they're at in their fitness journey and their health journey, what message do you want to leave them with?
Definitely. So just remember, wherever you're at in your fitness journey at the moment, know this: motivation gets you going, but consistency keeps you growing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. All right. Well, Mr. Fisher, thank you so much for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, again, those links in the description below so you can find Mr. Fisher for yourself and reach out to him. And wherever you are, yeah, keep going, be consistent. And, it's discipline definitely triumphs over motivation because, motivation comes and goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep at it. And Mr. Fisher, again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
No doubt. Thank you.
Sailing through the ocean blue, nuclear reactors my crew, guiding the ship, the stars as our guide, through the waves we ride, jokes and laughter fill the air. On this voyage we have to share, working together, side by side, as one family we will abide. In the heart of the ship we reside, nuclear operators with pride, powering the vessel with every stride. Our mission, a source of great pride.